always happen. Picture edits in the middle of post-production. Nuendo has all the features on board for fast and reliable reconforming. Just import the old and new EDL files that hopefully were provided by the picture editor in Nuendo's Reconform panel. Click on Generate and check the suggested changes. You can adjust the options for EDL loading and video handling to your needs. By clicking on Start Reconform, your session is conformed based on the generated changes list. And no worries if there are any more edit changes to take care of. Simply repeat with the new EDLs. With Nuendo's Field Recorder audio import, you can search for alternate mic tracks or takes from production audio files in mono or even poly audio files based on their metadata, to replace bad audio events that were delivered in an OMF or AAF, even if the metadata of the imported files was lost. Simply create your own temporary metadata with the metadata retrieval function.
Dove sono I soldi? Dove sono I soldi? Dove sono I soldi? Dove sono I soldi?
Matching takes or tracks can then easily be previewed and imported on lanes of the corresponding track for further editing or to the audio pool for later use.
In physics, sound is a vibration that typically propagates as an audible wave of pressure through a transmission medium such as gas, liquid or solid.
You just heard the bad production sound and the corresponding ADR simultaneously. With Nuendo's audio alignment function, you can easily match the timing of two or more audio events in no time. Simply add the reference event and the target event or events, adjust the settings, and click on Align Audio. This is a huge time saver in ADR when replacing bad with perfectly lip-sync takes.
In physics, sound is a vibration that typically propagates as an audible wave of pressure through a transmission medium such as gas, liquid or solid.
(270-569) Millennium 41. I'm Lieutenant Zorf, Commanding Officer of Sector 5.
Well, this bad sounding take definitely needs some ADR. Nuendo has its own fully integrated ADR system, which can be activated in the Markers window. It has all the features and functions on board you would expect from a professional ADR system. You can define source tracks for guide, music and effects and mic signal, set up pre-roll and post-roll times, pre-configure the recording target tracks, and set up an audio file naming scheme based on the additional marker info. In the Video tab, you can configure video overlays, like a swipe or counter for pre-roll, to show the dialogue if provided in the corresponding marker, activate the take length and ADR status indicator, and set up a secondary swipe with independent pre-roll. A really powerful part of Nuendo's integrated ADR system is the signal switchboard. Here you can painstakingly set up what to hear while in rehearse, record or review. This can further be divided in pre-roll, take and post-roll. There are separate switchboards for each the control room and up to 4 cues. All the markers for an ADR session in Nuendo can easily be prepared in a CSV document. Then you can import the markers from the CSV file. You can assign each column's category manually if it wasn't recognized correctly. And here are the markers from the CSV file. Now all is set up, so you can run the whole ADR session from inside the marker window using the rehearse, record and review buttons.
270-569.
The rehearsal sounded fine, so let's record.
270-569.
Perfect. To record with a second or even more swipes in one run, just check Secondary Swipe and select all appropriate markers in the marker window.
569, Millennium 41. I'm Lieutenant Sorf, Commanding Officer of Sector 5.
If you like, finished takes are checked automatically. As you can see, the files are named perfectly clear, according to the information provided with the markers. Of course, this not only works great for ADR, but also for Foley recording. There are already a lot of predefined categories for that. And you can create your own marker categories.
270-569, Millennium 41. I'm Lieutenant Sorf, Commanding Officer of Sector 5.
Nuendo supports the ARA interface from Celemony for seamless integration of Melodyne, Steinberg's Spectra layers and other ARA-compatible tools. ARA plugins are tightly linked to its audio event and thus follows if the event is moved. With Spectra layers as an ARA plugin, for example, you can deal with audio restoration directly in Nuendo. Any edit is non-destructive and fully reversible. Also possible to view and edit several audio events with applied ARA plugins simultaneously, all color-coded for perfect clarity. As the name suggests, Nuendo's video cut detection analyzes the imported video for cuts based on a sensitivity level. Now you can review the detected cuts and adjust the sensitivity to your needs. If you're happy with the results, you can create named and colored markers or cycle markers for each cut. This brings you perfect clarity when navigating through your session and finding perspective changes or location jumps. Nuendo's direct offline processing is a beast for sound editing, sound design and even mixing. It lets you apply any process like normalization or pitch shifting or any installed VST plugin to all selected audio events or just a selection inside an event. The best thing about it is that each event has its own list of applied plugins and processes, and everything is fully reversible. So you can adjust any parameter afterwards, bypass plugins or change the processing order, even after closing and reopening the session. This way, you can save a lot of CPU performance and automation work. You can extend the processing range beyond the event borders and add a tail for effects like reverbs and delays. You can save a processing list as a batch process to later apply to another event with just one click. You already have a great insert plugin chain loaded to a track and want to apply it as a direct offline process? Piece of cake. Just drag and drop its insert rec to the direct offline processing window. Also, loading track effects chain presets is no problem. It's an incredible time saver, especially when applying key commands to frequently used processes or VST plugins. With Nuendo's Project Logical Editor, you can do conditional editing. This means you can define a condition or a chain of conditions that have to be true or false, so that a certain command will be executed. This can be selecting the matching objects, deleting them, or applying a function or macro to it. You want to get rid of all the muted audio events in a large session? Select and then hide or delete all empty audio tracks. Rename and number all selected tracks. And so on. It all takes just a few clicks to customize a logical function to your needs. Of course, you can apply key commands to any logical function or combine them with other commands into a macro. Nuendo features a powerful tool to organize your sound effects, loops, clip packages and presets, the Media Bay. Once you have scanned the appropriate drives and folders, you can search, preview and import their content in no time. It has extensive metadata support, so you can, for example, search by, view and edit BWF metadata of your audio files. With the logical and conditional filters, you should find your sounds in no time. You can import either whole files by drag and drop or key command, or just a selection of it, while the latter imports a trimmed version of the whole file, so you still can choose another section of the audio file after import by dragging the waveform. With a simple macro, it is also possible to spot a file to a previously selected range. This speeds up sound editing a lot, especially when working with Nuendo's two independent selection tools. It is also possible to replace the content of an existing event on a track with another audio file, simply by dragging the new sound onto it while holding down the Shift key. With the QSheet export in Nuendo, you can create a CSV or text document containing all the relevant information of the selected tracks and its audio, video or marker events. This way you can easily create a QSheet for your clients that provides clarity about the used music tracks or licensed sound effects, for instance, including their in and out points based on the session timecode and the event in and out points based on the timestamp of the corresponding audio file. You also get general information about the session, such as used plugins, author, session start and length, as well as bit depth and sample rate. Nuendo's video export lets you quickly render the film that you're working on, or just a specific section of it, including the audio of a track, group or master output. So you can send it to a client for review or test it in different environments. Nuendo has a very powerful key commands and macro system. Almost every editing command, menu or logical function, process, applying VST plugins and even switching preferences can be assigned with a key command to create a seamless and incredibly fast workflow. This gets even more powerful when you combine several functions into a macro, which then can also be assigned with a key command. Like import audio to a selection, apply fades to selection range boundaries, reverse audio events and adjust snap point accordingly. Set cycle markers to several events in a row. Applying and adjusting crossfades in Nuendo is a no-brainer. Simply select two or more overlapping audio events and press the X key. Existing crossfades can easily be moved or resized. This also works for several crossfades simultaneously. When spreading crossfaded events to separate tracks, the crossfade stays intact. For even more precision, double-click on a crossfade to open the crossfade editor. Here you can painstakingly adjust the crossfade to your needs. Edits apply to all crossfades of all selected audio events. The Find Silence function lets you gate and split selected audio events based on their levels with just a few clicks. You can define separate thresholds for opening and closing the gate, set minimum and maximum opening and closing times, and add pre- and post-roll times. You can choose to adjust the parameters for each selected audio event separately or apply one setting to all. This seems to be just a simple editing function, but it can save a lot of time and nerves. It creates gaps with a definable length between all selected events. Example, you have several sound effects whose reverb or delay tails overlap. With this function, you can create enough space between them in no time. With Nuendo's split channel function, you can extract channels from multi-channel audio events. The track info field shows the names of single channels, if provided in the metadata of the audio file. You can choose a naming format and decide whether you want to extract a single channel or split all channels into separate mono files. And if you want to split the channels onto separate lanes of the track or just to the pool for later use. I would like to extract the center channel of a 5.1 mix. In this next example, a Foley recording that was delivered as a stereo file is converted to mono by extracting the left channel only. By checking this option in Nuendo's preferences, events that are under the play cursor are selected automatically. This makes edits like coloring events, cut head or tails to cursor, and setting snap points or fades to cursor incredibly fast. Especially if you're working with a hardware jog controller. Nuendo's Render in Place is an extremely powerful weapon for any sound editor or sound designer. With this, you can, for example, render real-time FX into events, merge separate events, or downmix layered sound effects to one file. You have several options like render selected events one by one or as one long file. Define the pickup point in the mixer. Should it be pre-fader, post-fader, post-target track fader, including linked effect returns, or post-master fader? You can add a tail for effects like delays and reverbs, mix down all to one file, and you can choose to mute the source events after processing. A clip package in Nuendo is a proprietary format to export and archive all selected events, layered sound effects for instance, including automation, for later use. This way, a sound editor can prepare and deliver layered sound effects while maintaining all editing capabilities. This is great for exchange when several sound editors work in a team. Nuendo takes full advantage of the AAF multi-channel capabilities. So, no split files when exporting or importing a proper AAF file. This saves a lot of time and nerves when handling large AAF projects. As you can see, all multi-channel tracks and events are still intact. Do you also have Wavelab installed on your computer? Then you can take advantage of its editing possibilities for the audio events in your Nuendo project as well. To do so, go to Audio, Edit in Wavelab. Wavelab starts and the selected event is transferred automatically. When you finish editing in Wavelab, simply click on this button to replace the old event with the edited new file. The Video Follows Edit mode, which can be activated in the transport menu, is a great workflow accelerator when syncing sound effects like whooshes or passbys, whose sync point is not at event start. When dragging such an event, the video follows and shows the exact frame of the current sync point position. These two commands let you temporarily save your current project position and view. Then jump and zoom to anywhere else in the project to listen to a specific section for reference or copy a certain element and return to your previously saved position. This makes navigating through large sessions a lot more comfortable. Nuendo has one of the most advanced and versatile marker system. You can organize your markers in up to 16 independent marker tracks. For a perfect overview, each marker track has its own list in the marker window. For example, one each for Foley and sound effect spotting, dialogue editing, scene markers, and each character an ADR, and so on. There are two types of markers: position markers and cycle markers to mark sections and ranges. You can not only name each marker, but add a lot of extra information. There are many predefined categories for different tasks like Foley and ADR, but you can also create your own. Extremely powerful is its possibility to export and import markers as a CSV file. With a little workaround, you can even bring markers saved in BWF WAV files or markers from Adobe Premiere into Nuendo. Import the markers from the CSV file. You can assign each column's category manually if it wasn't recognized correctly. And here are the markers from the CSV file. Here I created several magic sound effects for a video game. This brings up another great feature of Nuendo's marker system, the possibility to export cycle marker ranges to separate files in one run. It's a very powerful workflow enhancement, especially when combined with Nuendo's multitrack export capabilities. For more clarity, you can set up a naming scheme for the exported files. In this case, it's the name of the project, followed by a separator and the cycle marker name. And done. When working in a team on very large projects, you may want to check out Nuendo's network editing. With this, you can work on the same project from several computers simultaneously. This can be done with computers in the same network or even over the internet. First, activate the network function. Set up a host, define user rights, and share the project. Now the client workstations can join the project and download its content. For a faster workflow, you can activate the network track controls. If the host has auto-apply activated, any changes that are committed by the client are automatically applied in the host project. For more control, the host can manually confirm and apply changes. In that case, the Load Available Update button turns blue as soon as the client commits an edit. The internal, global or project chat grants easy communication while working together. Another scenario would be that sound editors work in independent sessions and share their projects, whose tracks can then be accessed and downloaded into a master session.